Right, it's been made pretty clear to me that you guys want the monthly news videos back. No worries then, they're back, but the video format is evolving a bit. There will still be Falcom news here, but we're also going to cover general JRPG news as well in segments, anything that catches my eye. Whether they be announcements, DLC or merchandise, hopefully these new monthly roundups will give you guys a good summary of what has happened during a month, not only in the Falcom sphere but also the wider JRPG universe. At least in terms of the games I'm most interested in. And I do appreciate that some people would prefer these to come out more frequently, like every week or 2 weeks, but trying to balance that with my full-time job would be too challenging. I know for a fact I'd burn out if I did that. Hopefully this will work for you as an alternative. So without further ado, let's round out September and some of October, starting with the Falcom news, and once again I thank Houndscape for all of his hard work in making this known to us. We'll kick off with the merchandise, and be aware of a spoiler for Hajimari on this first item. Now if you missed out on that 40th anniversary Falcom shirt during the livestream for August, then you might be in luck. Pinbox of course jumped in with their own versions about 3 months back, which I can attest are well up to standard as I have too myself, but NIS America EU put up the original design as well for pre-order, which will ship out on October the 25th for the UK and EU regions. North America appears to be omitted since they already got it. As of the time of me writing this script, all sizes still appear to be in stock. Now since we did mention Pinbox, it looks like they're bringing out a new type of product themselves, showing off this extra large Estelle pin for pre-order. If you need a comparison image, here's the original line right next to the new. I've said many times how excellent their products are, and I imagine this one will be no different. As for you more cultured individuals, you might be interested in this next bit of news, though one of them is now no longer up for pre-order and is due out in November. So Dana is a cool character, right? One of the highlights of the excellent Ys 8, one of my favourite games of all time in fact. Well, if you want her to be closer, you might have been lucky enough to see a Dakimakura of her going up for pre-order between August and September. That's a body pillow for everyone else. Also, can I say that this guy looks like he'd rather be anywhere else? Unfortunately, Dana is the one that you can no longer reserve, but for the Falcom ladies and potentially some blokes, seems like Adol is getting the same treatment, and his reservations are starting this month. I'll put the link to the site in the description if you want to partake when it goes up. On to Ys 9 now, and it seems Kogado Studio has some glass illustration mobile batteries up for sale. They're part of a collaboration event with Falcom, and since they're glass, you can bet that the image won't degrade over time. Maybe something to consider. But in particular, there was also this Super Arrange album arranged by Yukihiro Jindo of Sound Team JDK. Basically, these are new arrangements and recordings of some of the more popular songs from Ys 9. Here's an example for you if you're interested. You can get this on Spotify, or you can buy a physical edition off the Falcom shop. The link is in the description, though bear in mind you might still need to use a proxy. And rounding out our merch roundup, we already know of 2 Kotobukiya figures that are currently up for pre-order, those being for Alcina and Reen, but apparently there is another one in the works as well. We're not sure what it is yet, but I'll keep an eye on this one as well. And also on the 9th of October, there was an update on the Alcina figure from Questq, as we finally have a prototype. This one is based off her Cold Steel 2 art, and if this one's now in the open, I expect the Elisa prototype isn't too far behind. Moving to the games now, or should I say game, let's look at Kuro no Kiseki, the newest title in the Atelier Series. As always, if you want to avoid the spoilers, because we're going to be showing the opening here, then you can skip forward to the general JRPG news. So Kuro released on the 30th of September, it's been out for around a week now, and the sales figures were made public on the 7th of October. Kuro, as of that report, had sold just over 50,000 physical copies in around 4 days. In comparison to previous titles, that is indeed lower than the likes of Cold Steel 3, Cold Steel 4 and Hajimari no Kiseki as shared by the Falcom subreddit. Now bear in mind that Kuro did release in the same month as the likes of Tales of Arise and Lost Judgment, so that's probably stole a bit of its thunder, and these figures don't include digital sales either, which might actually represent a large proportion of sales due to the pandemic. For a small comparison to the other 2 titles just mentioned, Arise sold about 150,000 in its first week, while Lost Judgment sold 110,000, both of those having worldwide releases as opposed to Kuro that was solely based in Japan. With those numbers in mind, and considering the Atelier Series' more niche status, I'd say that 50,000 is not as bad as it first appears. One thing's for sure, Falcom aren't surprised, as it appears they had predicted the shortfall well in advance, as evidenced by their remaining physical stock sitting at around 10% as of the time of writing. Now as for playing the game, many Trails fans are already aware of this, but it should be mentioned anyway. We unfortunate plebs who aren't able to start up Kuro immediately due to the language barrier are being saved by the excellent Zero Field team, who of course worked on previous spreadsheets for the likes of Cold Steel 3, 4 and Hajimori no Kiseki. They've already done the work on the prologue and they're currently in the text capturing phase for chapter 1, so I'm not sure on a completion date, but if it's anything like previous titles it will take roughly 2 months after release. But naturally, if they need more time, they should be given it. A massive thank you to all of them once again. As for what we're due to get after Kuro no Kiseki, there have been hints that the sequel is already being worked on, and a suggestion that the Calvard arc will extend beyond 2 games. I'm personally not expecting a Trails game announced in this year's shareholder meeting due to the 35th anniversary of Ys. I'm thinking we're most likely to get Ys 10 or an Ys 5 remake if we're lucky, as Falcom have confirmed they are working on the newest Ys title in the past few months. But it's interesting to think that they're already hard at work on that Kuro sequel. Right, and now that the Falcom news is done, let's move on to the general JRPG news, or at least the ones that caught my eye. We'll kick off with the Neptunia series, of which I know a few of my cultured pals are fans of, so they might get something small from this. The Tokyo Game Show took place between the 29th of September and the 3rd of October, and Neptunia did get a little bit of love. They've got a new anime OVA on the way called, I kid you not, Hyper Dimension Neptunia Thanksgiving Festival full of Nepu Nepu. Where do they come up with this stuff? But they also have a brand new 1/7 scale figure of Neptune due out as well called Dimension Traveler Neptune, and it's being produced by Good Smile Company, who I'm quite familiar with. There's a link in the description if you want to look in closer. Now moving on to a small tidbit for Monster Hunter Rise, which initially released in March of 2021 for Nintendo Switch. It is now coming to Steam as well, due for release on January the 12th, 2022, with the demo available on October 13th. And I imagine the platform is going to up the potential performance quite significantly. Apparently it will have uncapped frame rates, high-res textures, and ultra-wide support, plus the capability of running in 4K. No doubt something you can sink a lot of hours into. Now on to Tales of Arise. Bandai Namco's latest offering released near the start of September, and a lot of people have been giving it a go, myself included. As evidenced by my review that you can check out from a week back, I had a great time with this game, one of the best JRPGs I've played this year without a doubt, and I went the full Nelson by purchasing that limited edition as well, figure included. The reason I bring this game up is because it looks like it's due its first round of DLC, and as for the content of said DLC, I didn't expect this at all. Remember Sword Art Online? Well, that's the DLC. Whereas previous titles like Berseria had fights against characters from prior games, Arise instead is getting a battle against Kirito and Asuna, which will also yield a unique Mystic Art and Kirito's weapons. Yeah, why not? Outside of that second season, I actually didn't mind Sword Art Online too much. I'd even say that Alicization was enjoyable. So, I'm all on board with this. It released on the 7th of October. And since we're talking about one of Bandai Namco's works, let's take a gander at the other one that released this year. Scarlet Nexus is another title I've played in 2021, and again, mostly enjoyable. I would suggest checking it out if you're into your action RPGs. And it might be a good time to try it as it's due its first paid DLC. You're getting new costumes, weapons and bonding events along with a new technique in battle which arises, wrong game, from max affinity to another character, and it's been given the name Crush Vision. On top of that, version 1.04 is on the horizon, which is a free update giving new plugins and challenges. Both of these don't have a current release date as of yet. Finally, it was announced at the Tokyo Game Show on the 30th of September that the game was coming to Xbox Game Pass and is available as of the time of recording. Right, now onto a new IP that will likely interest fans of strategic role-playing games like Langrisser or Fire Emblem. It was originally made known to us back in May, but Kadokawa Games showed us an 8-minute gameplay trailer of a title called Relayer at Tokyo Game Show, which is a tactical mecha RPG. The game is set in the year 2051, where humanity is in the process of exploring the cosmos, eventually bumping into an alien race known as Relayers. And of course, as soon as an encounter is made with another intelligent species, we must kill it. And that's pretty much what we were shown. Pilots known as Star Children take control of mecha and fight against the Relayers, and you'll have different classes at your disposal like tanks, assault models, snipers and scouts. Plus, each one can be customized with active and passive skills. On top of that, each pilot comes equipped with a job system, and there are over 80 to choose from, each being unique. The game is estimated to be about 40 hours in length, not including side content, and there is a post-game experience that apparently comes to another 40 hours. They might be embellishing a bit there, but who knows. As for its release date, Japan gets this game on February the 17th, 2022, but apparently Clouded Leopard Entertainment, who many Trails fans will know as the company that distributes the series to the wider Asian markets, are taking up the reins for international distribution. And the Japanese release apparently will have support for English, French, Italian, German, Spanish, Chinese and Korean languages. No date has been confirmed as of yet, but it might be worth keeping an eye on. On to Square Enix now, and we'll start with the Kingdom Hearts series. Of course, the first Kingdom Hearts game released back in March of 2002, and that means that the 20th anniversary of the series is on the cards. On Tuesday of this week, Square released a video showcasing what is on the way, including 20th anniversary merchandise, an offline and free version of Union Cross so you can see the whole story, and it is a big story so you might want to recap, or if you have a Switch then you can just play everything instead, as all of the games are coming to the platform via cloud versions. That means we're getting the 1.5 and 2.5 remixes, 2.8 final chapter, and Kingdom Hearts 3 plus the Remind DLC. Bear in mind though that because these are cloud versions, you are effectively streaming the games from a server, similar to Stadia or Nvidia GeForce Now. So in other words, you're probably gonna need a decent internet connection as well, but it's better than nothing. The whole Kingdom Hearts series on Switch is a good time. And since we're talking about Kingdom Hearts coming to Switch, I feel like it would be wrong of me to not at least acknowledge the final DLC character for Smash Bros. Ultimate. If you haven't seen it or guessed by now, Sora is the last character to be made available for the game. And though I was quietly hoping for a Falcom character, which likely would never happen anyway, I was happy to see Sora get in after so many years of rumours. Moving on, and we can't really mention Square without at least touching on Final Fantasy, but to be fair, there's a few things that are worth mentioning. Now, we're not going to start with the game news, we're actually going to look at a blatant case of plagiarism, which I thought was hilarious. Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. Excellent game, probably the most popular MMO on the market after the problems at Activision Blizzard, and of course the next expansion, Endwalker, is due for release in November. You should try it out, I can attest to its quality as can many others. Anyway, they do say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, though I doubt Square see it that way. A Chinese game by the name of Dola Consonant Soulmaster has quite clearly ripped off the Shadowbringers opening, and there is no way this can be denied. I'll put a link to the full video in the description, but it is near on frame for frame as you can see here. Not sure what Square are going to do about it, but yeah, I thought it was funny and would be worth mentioning for the laugh. Anyhow, on to the games, and we'll start with Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. It's due for a release on March the 18th, 2022, but the second trial version is also available to try on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series until October the 11th. Now, since the first trial, there have been some improvements like tweaking of the AI, the ability to run up to 4K, and the darkness has been toned down a bit on the visuals. Now, even though this isn't a title that I'm overly excited for, the general reception from the first demo was fairly positive. I won't be tripping over my nutsack to play it on release day, but I'll wait and see what others have to say about it. If they like the game, I'm open to giving it a whirl myself at a later date. But a game that I am excited for and will likely play on release day if I can is Final Fantasy XVI. And there have been a few updates on that front regarding its development. According to Naoki Yoshida, the main scenario is complete, the character models are seeing their final touches, and now they're working mostly on the side content, which they're quite far into as well. Of course, no release date as of yet, but it sounds like they're making good headway. On top of that, we've got a little taster of the skill system that will be on offer, which will be drawing inspiration from Fantasian, a mobile RPG released on iOS this year, and also made by Final Fantasy veteran Sakaguchi and Uematsu. If you want a good rundown of Fantasian, I would suggest checking out Alex from Backlog Battle, who was fortunate enough to not only interview Sakaguchi himself, but also try the game out and give his thoughts. And finally, I know some people will not share my thoughts here, but the most exciting news for me this month comes from the Atelier Series. Gust's long-running stalwart is due to celebrate its 25th anniversary and commemorated the occasion with the announcement of the 23rd game in the mainline series. But I was surprised to see that it wasn't a third Riser game, instead we're getting a direct sequel to Atelier Sophie, which was the first game in the Mysterious trilogy, and that probably explains why along with the Riser sequel, Koei also released a DX bundle of the trio earlier this year. Now, this isn't too different to what has happened before. Something similar was done with the Arlen trilogy, where the original trio were created back to back, and about 7 games later we got Atelier Lelua, which became the 4th game in that arc of titles. Looks like the Mysterious trilogy is getting the same treatment. Now, why am I excited about this? Well, despite only playing 2 games in the series, both being the latest ones, I have found myself enjoying them massively. They're a nice change of pace from the more gritty narratives, very light-hearted and brimming with charm thanks to the cute designs and the alchemy system. And now that we're getting a new game, I'm all on board giving this one a go too, though it means I'll have to bump the Mysterious trilogy forward in my personal backlog, which is already pretty hefty. Whatever, the struggle continues. As for the game itself, it is due for worldwide release on the 25th of February 2022 on PlayStation 4, Switch and Steam, with Japan getting it one day earlier. On top of that, there's DLC bonuses for people who have cleared the second Riser game or any of the Mysterious trilogy, and there is indeed a limited edition available from the NIS America store where you get the game, an art book, a soundtrack, a B-free fabric poster, and a keychain. So it's pretty much bang on the same as what we got for the Atelier Riser 2 premium box, but to be honest, I'll probably still buy it. And that is it guys, your September and a bit of October news roundup is complete. I appreciate this was probably a bit rough around the edges, but I hope you guys found it useful and enjoyable in equal measure. I'll see you again next month for another one. Peace.